Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A busy Tuesday with episodes of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense, an episode of Boston Blackie, an episode of I Was a Communist for the FBI, and Dangerously Yours from 1944, and we'll wrap it all up with the next episode of Superman. That's all coming up on this Tuesday. This is the 20th day of August. It is the 233rd day of the year, 133 days remaining. President Andrew Johnson formally declared the U.S. Civil War over in 1866. In 1920, the first commercial radio station, 8MK, began operations in Detroit. It remains on the air today as WWJ. In 1940, exiled Russian revolutionary Leon Trotsky, fatally wounded in Mexico City by an assassin's ice axe, he would die the following day. In 1953, the Soviet Union publicly acknowledged it had tested a hydrogen bomb. 1969, all four Beatles together in the recording studio for the last time as they finished the Abbey Road LP. 1975, NASA launched the Viking 1 planetary probe toward Mars.
It began here at the Kennedy Space Center, Florida, last summer. A pair of spacecraft, Viking 1 and Viking 2, were readied for their separate journeys to Mars. Each is really two spacecraft in one. A 5,000-pound orbiter with cameras and communications gear, and sealed inside two saucer-like capsules at the other end, the Viking landing craft. A camera-equipped automated biological and chemistry laboratory and seismic station, which has been purged of earthly organisms by being heated in a huge oven. The 11-month, 420-million-mile trip for the two Viking orbiter landers was set in motion by two launches. One in August, one in September. Earth shrinks smaller and smaller as the two Vikings head toward their Martian rendezvous.
Viking 2 would be launched a month later on their 11-month journey to Mars. And as we said, in 1977, U.S. launched Voyager 2, an unmanned spacecraft carrying a 12-inch copper phonograph record containing greetings in dozens of languages, samples of music, and sounds of nature. In Edmonton, Oklahoma, on this date in 1986, postal employee Patrick Sherrill gunned down 14 of his co-workers and then committed suicide.
He had a 9mm pistol and he started shooting employees.
Walk back a little ways on the right in a booth. There are three bodies. You walk back a few feet further and there are four bodies. And you go back a little bit further and there's another couple. You come back up the other side. There are isolated bodies. You go back in the back room where they're having a break. There are donuts and coffee on the table and a dead body laying there.
Postal worker Vince Furnong and Edmond District Attorney Bob Macy. It was this shooting that ended up coining the phrase going postal. A ceasefire agreed to between Iran and Iraq after almost 8 years of war on this date in 1988. 1991, more than 100,000 people rallied outside the Soviet Union's parliament building protesting the coup aimed to depose President Mikhail Gorbachev. It would lead to the collapse of the Soviet Union. In 1992, the Republican National Convention in Houston nominated President George Herbert Walker Bush and Vice President Dan Quayle for a second term. In 1993, after rounds of secret negotiations in Norway, the Oslo Peace Accords were signed, following by a public ceremony in Washington the following month. In 1998, the U.S. military launched cruise missile attacks against al-Qaeda camps in Afghanistan and a suspected chemical plant in Sudan in retaliation for the August 7th bombing of American embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. The Al-Shifa pharmaceutical factory in Khartoum destroyed in the attack. And it was 4 years ago today, President Biden gave his acceptance speech virtually for the 2020 Democrat presidential nomination. Passing away on this date in history, the delightful Phyllis Diller.
Would you believe that entered a beauty contest. I must have been out of my mind. I not only came in last, I got 361 get well cards. Now, I don't want you to get the idea that I have given up on my looks. I will never give up. I am in my 14th year of a 10-day beauty plan. When I go to bed at night, I've got so much grease on my body, I wear snow chains to hold up my gown. We've got more grease stains in the bedroom than we got in the garage. One night, I asked Fang to kiss me goodnight. He got up and put on his work clothes. You know, the lights have gone out with dirty old Fang. The last time there was a gleam in Fang's eye, there was a short in his electric blanket. All he cares about is football. I thought that our weekends after we were married would be a loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and that. You know how it turned out? A box of pretzels, a can of beer, and the Green Bay Packers.
From a 1969 edition of the Phyllis Diller show, the Ed Sullivan show, Phyllis Diller passing away on this date 12 years ago. Also passing away on this date, the founder of the Salvation Army, William Booth, former Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal, who took that iconic Iwo Jima flag-raising picture during World War II. He died on this date in 2006 at the age of 94. Also passing away on this date, the Queen of Mean, Leona Helmsley, and jazz pianist-composer Marion McPartland, and a man who, depending upon who you talk to, was an okay Joe, and others who say he was not so nice, Jerry Lewis.
My name is Norman, and I'm 5. Yes. And this is my lolly, and it's orange, and it's my favorite kind. And if I had a whole lot of them, then everybody here could have some. But it's the only one I have, so it shouldn't go to waste. You know, a lot of times I say the wrong thing, and my mother really gets very mad at me. Like the other day, I was in the kitchen and waiting for my mother to make me breakfast. And my mother came down and I said, "Hey, Ma, your belly is sticking very far out." And my mother said, "That's the baby." I said, "Oh." I said, "Is it nice?" She said, "Oh, yes, it's very nice." I said, "Do you love it?" She said, "Oh, yes, I love it." I said, "Then why did you eat it?"
From the 1986 comic relief special, Jerry Lewis, passing away on this date in 2017. Birthdays on this date include President Benjamin Harrison, the original voice of Fred Flintstone, Alan Reed.
Hello, Pasquale. You want to see me about something?
Luigi, my little pumpkin head. I've got something very important I want to talk to you about. If I was to ask you if you want to marry Rosa, wouldn't your answer be no?
Yes, sir.
Yes! Luigi, my son, I accept your proposal.
From Life with Luigi with J. Carroll Nash, Alan Reed is Pasquale. Alan Reed, born on this date in history. Also celebrating birthdays today in heaven or wherever, Jacqueline Suzanne, the novelist. Singer Jim Reeves, the president of Serbia and of Yugoslavia, Slobodan Milosevic, and the wonderful musician and also pretty good voice artist, Isaac Hayes, born Shaft, yes, and Shep in the South Park comedies, all born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
Led Zeppelin's Robert Plant turned 76 today.
1971. There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying the stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she can.
When you think Led Zeppelin, you automatically think of Stairway to Heaven. Robert Plant of Stairway to Heaven, 76 today. Ron Paul is 89. Mrs. Maury Povich, Connie Chung, 78 today.
At every turn lately, the president is running into an attack from Ross Perot. 7 months after the election, Perot is still campaigning.
CBS, ABC, CNN, Connie Chung, a fine anchor and journalist, 78 years old today. TV's Al Roker is 70.
Out west, temperatures 90s, 100s, 100 teens in the southwest, 70s in New England, 60s in the Pacific Northwest. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Al Roker, 70 years old today. Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. James Marsters is 62. From Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst is 54. From Supernatural, Misha Collins is 50. Actress Amy Adams is 50.
We got the Bureau to park $2 million for 3 days. We've got the account numbers.
We? Mean you and him? Yeah, we did it. Really?
Yeah, me and that guy.
She showed me. You showed him? Our thing? You did that without me? Are you kidding?
What are you gonna do?
From the 2013 movie American Hustle, Amy Adams is 50. From the television show Once Upon a Time, Megan Ory is 42. The 2012 and 2014 Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Andrew Garfield, is 41.
What are you? You a cop? Really? You seriously think I'm a cop? Cop in a skin-tight red and blue suit. You know, you're...
The former Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, 41. Demi Lovato, with her hit Sorry Not Sorry, is 32.
Payback is a bad chick, and baby, I'm the baddest. Stop playing with a savage. Can't have this, can't have this. And it'd be nice of me to take it easy on ya, but nah. Baby, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Baby, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Being so bad got me feeling so good. Showing you up like I know that I would.
Demi Lovato, 32 today. From Glee, Alex Newell is 32. And the voice of Hola, si Dora, Dora the Explorer, Fatima Pacek, is 24. Those are just a few of the people who celebrate the 20th day of August as their birthday. If this happens to be your birthday...
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Up next, a later episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills out of New York City, Suspense. 63 years ago, August 20th, 1961, Phil Meader, Bill Lipton star in Murder is a Matter of Opinion. That's next.
There's an issue cutting through the partisanship in Congress. It's AM radio. The overwhelming majority of legislators, Democrats and Republicans, support a bill to keep AM radio in cars. But time is running out. Text AM to 52886 and ask Congress to bring this bill to the floor for a vote now. AM radio is too important to let this moment pass us by.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This has gotten bogged down in partisan politics, and it's a bipartisan issue. The problem is it's still sitting in committee, and we need to get it out before the end of the year. Otherwise, it's going to have to go through committees all over again. So please, contact your congressman. Tell them to pass the AM Radio in Every Car Act. Okay, let's get around to this story. 63 years ago, August 20th, 1961, Suspense.
And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Two brothers play a deadly game. In a moment, Act One of Murder is a Matter of Opinion, starring Phil Meader and William Lipton, based on a story by Jules Archer, and written especially for Suspense by Ronald Dawson.
The lively crowd today agrees. Those who think young say Pepsi, please. They pick the right one, the modern light one. Now it's Pepsi for those who think young. So go ahead and pick the drink that lets you drink young as you think. Yes, get the right one, the modern light one. Now it's Pepsi for those who think young.
It wasn't surprising that my younger brother Brian and I disagreed so violently on the question of capital punishment. We chose opposite sides on everything as a matter of habit. Ever since Dad had sent him to join me at the Tulane College of Law, we'd argued about murder.
Murder is a matter of opinion, Frank, and that's all. Just a matter of opinion.
I can't go along with you, Brian. The law not only distinctly defines murder, but furthermore, the law is designed to protect the innocent.
Oh, baloney. I can point out quite a few cases where an innocent man was condemned to death.
No, sir. I just happen to believe the law is right.
Well, you're wrong.
Look, if you're so darn sure that the law can be wrong, prove it.
All right, I will.
How?
Each year, Tulane stages a mock trial, right?
Of course. The moot court board.
Right. Now, they secretly prepare a mock crime on the campus and try to catch us by surprise to give us some realistic experience in criminal law procedure, right?
Right.
Okay. This year, why don't we spring a surprise on the board? Just you and I will stage our own private murder case.
Hey, Brian, why don't you do something about that cough of yours? It's really beginning to worry me. You cough all night long.
Oh, I'll take care of it. I'll see a doctor one of these days.
Please do.
Okay, let's get back to our mock murder. I'll play the corpse and you be the murderer, but after we stage the killing, I'll undertake your defense at the trial.
What will you prove?
Well, I'll prove to you and to the student jury that even though every fact points to you as guilty of first-degree murder, even to the point of witnesses who saw you kill me, you can still be absolutely innocent.
You won't use any self-defense gag, no insanity plea, accidental manslaughter?
No, a straight, deliberate, premeditated killing.
Well, kid, it's a nice stunt if you can do it. It's a deal. Let's work out the details. To give us a little more incentive, I bet Brian $100 that he couldn't win. And we got busy and worked out the details. We rehearsed and rehearsed until we were letter perfect. And then we began to act out the drama for the benefit of the student body. We were in the dormitory, and it was crowded.
And by what perverted logic, Frank, do you contend that a mother who mercifully puts her idiot child out of its misery is a murderess?
No one has the right to take another's life.
Don't quote the Bible to me. Think for yourself.
Look, if you did a little more reading of the Bible and a little less boasting about what you know of the law...
Boasting? You're the one who's always boasting. You're the one who's never wrong.
Oh, shut up, will you, Brian? You're just a punk kid.
A punk kid, am I? I'll show you who's a kid or not. Hey, come on, you two, cut it out.
Mind your own business. Yeah, Tom, you keep out of this. I'm not going to let this little louse get away with all this nonsense of his.
Hey!
Okay, brother dear. I'll get you for that. The fight achieved our purpose. We had planted the idea that Brian and I were on the outs. To make it still more emphatic, we made it a point not to speak to each other for several days. It was a pretty good act. Tom Penson, a mutual friend, stopped in to see me.
Frank, I realize I have no right to say what I have in mind.
Well, then don't.
I have to. As an old friend, Frank, I just can't understand what's come over you and Brian.
Oh, he's impossible. Do you know that young punk has the nerve to question father's decisions? Can you imagine baby Brian questioning the decisions of one of the most learned judges in the country?
Well, he's got an inquiring mind. He wants to explore the law.
Inquiring mind, my eye. He's got a colossal conceit, and one of these days I'll knock it out of him. Poor Tom Penson tried to make peace between us. But Brian and I remained irreconcilable. And then came our next move. Over the weekend, Brian discovered that his watch was missing. He speculated loudly and bitterly and pointed out how it might have disappeared. I left the dormitory, slamming the door behind me. Later that day, I was sitting with Tom Penson and a few of the boys at the campus cafeteria. Brian wandered in as per schedule, signaling his entrance with that racking cough of his. Oh, gentlemen, just gaze at what my poor, deluded father expects Tulane to transform into a lawyer.
All right, where is it?
Where's what?
You know darn well what. My watch.
Now, how should I know where your watch is?
I want it back, and I want it back now.
Are you implying that I stole your lousy watch?
I'm implying nothing. I'm saying you stole it.
Hey, look, fellas, if you're going to start another fight, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to...
You stay right where you are, Tom. I want a witness to just what that young punk is saying.
For the last time, I want my watch.
Look, if you weren't such a weak sister, I'd knock you on your ear.
Why, you... Brian, don't. Get out of the way, Tom. Now, you, Mr. Frank Jackson, are going to give me back my watch.
I haven't got it, you ass.
Okay, then, you dirty lying thief.
Hey, stop it, you guys. Come on, Frank. Brian, cut it out. You'll kill each other.
I'll get you for this. Sweet dear brother. You'll pay for this, baby Brian. Well, that was the finish of the build-up. And it worked out exactly as Brian and I had planned. The campus buzzed with gossip about the feuding Jackson brothers. There was even a rumor current that the dean was going to send for both of us. Brian and I had started that rumor. Well, that night there was an affair on the campus, which neither of us attended. I slipped over to my study, and a few minutes later, Brian came in. Hi there, public enemy number one.
Hi, big boy.
Hey, Brian, I wish you'd take care of that cough.
Yeah, I will soon.
Oh, my jaw is still sore, you bum. You didn't have to hit me that hard.
Sorry, Frank. I tried to pull my punch, but I guess I'm not very good at that sort of thing.
You sure no one saw you coming here?
Oh, no. Campus is deserted.
Ah, okay. Well, now we're about set for the final act. The payoff takes place in the bookstore, right?
Right.
Okay, now look at this.
Oh, good. You got the gun?
Yep, a .32 loaded with blanks. I borrowed it from the Army. They'll never miss it.
Fine. And I've got a paper cup filled with ketchup. I'll stick it under my shirt.
And when I fire, you'll clasp your hand to your heart?
And squeeze out the red blood.
And then you lie on the floor while I make my escape.
Right. And I'll lie on the floor for at least 5 minutes to give you a chance to get away. Don't forget, you're to call the dean and tell him about the hoax and then have him set up the mock trial.
Everything looks set. Tomorrow, then. The bookstore at 12:15.
Right. I'll come in and start a fight, insult you, and you'll do the rest, okay? One more thing. All those plans we worked out on paper, you're sure you threw them all out?
Absolutely. I burned them. There'll be no clues around to show that the whole thing's a hoax until after it happens.
This is one time that I'll win, Frank.
Everything went smoothly. Brian entered the bookstore at 12:15, mingling with the noonday browsers. He was examining a book off one of the shelves when I entered. All right, you dirty little swine.
Wait a minute, Frank.
You couldn't stop telling everyone that I'm a thief, could you?
Frank, put away that gun.
Not until I use it on you. Brian clapped his hand to his heart. The catsup trickled out over his shirt in a convincing red stain. With a slight groan, my brother slumped to the floor on his face. Oh, it was a beautiful job. 2 girls screamed and 1 student fainted. Everyone in the bookshop stood transfixed in horror. I wheeled and ran out, sprinting back to my study. And then, chuckling to myself, I phoned the dean. He wasn't in, so I left word that I called and asked if he'd call me back. I relaxed in my bed, waiting for the dean to call. I began to speculate over Brian's possible defense pleas on my behalf at the trial. He agreed to every detail of the crime as we enacted it. How could he convince a jury of law students that it was anything but first-degree murder? I hated to see Brian make an ass of himself publicly, but it was his idea.
Dear God, Frank.
What's wrong, Tom? You're as white as a sheet.
What did you do it for? How could you do such a terrible thing?
Oh, I just killed a little stinker because he had it coming to him, that's all.
You killed your own brother and you're laughing at it?
He looked so funny lying there.
But your own brother.
Well, what difference does it make? Just a minute, Tom. That must be the dean. I'm expecting his call. Hello?
Jackson?
Speaking.
This is the dean.
Yes, sir?
Come to my office immediately.
Yes, sir. Beat it, Tom. That was the dean. He wants me to report to his office immediately.
But, Frank, look, you're in a lot of trouble. Perhaps if you plead insanity...
Insanity, my foot! I planned it. Yes, sir, it was premeditated murder. Happily, I entered the dean's office. Much to my surprise, there was a police captain with him. Well, I thought in wry amusement, Brian and I had forgotten that angle of it. We'd surprised the police, too. And from the dark look on the beefy face, I gathered that the police department took a dim view of the stunt.
Oh, Jackson, come in. Captain, this is Frank Jackson. He's your man.
You're Frank Jackson?
Yes, sir.
You're under arrest.
Looks like it was a pretty successful murder.
What?
My brother's not really dead, Dean.
You don't think so?
No, sir. You see, Dean, instead of waiting for the moot court to stage a mock crime, Brian and I decided to put on one of our own. We thought you wouldn't mind because, well, there's a very subtle legal point involved.
What are you talking about?
Well, if you'll allow us to hold a mock trial, I think the case would be extremely interesting to the student body. My brother wants to undertake my defense to prove that what is apparently a first-degree murder is really nothing of the sort.
Good Lord, what...
Now, would you cooperate, sir, by holding a trial and calling all the witnesses who were in the bookstore?
A trial will be held, all right, and all the witnesses in the bookstore will be called to testify against you. Only it won't be a mock trial at all, but a real one in criminal court.
What?
Frank Jackson, I arrest you for the murder of your brother, Brian.
Okay. It's okay, Captain. You can stop kidding now. I know you're trying to fool me the way we fooled you.
Do you mean to say that you don't think you killed your brother?
Well, of course not. The bullets were blanks.
Were they? Pretty deadly blanks, Jackson. Deadly enough to kill your brother 5 seconds after you fired them. Let's go.
It was a nightmare. I'd wake up, I told myself, and Brian would be sleeping beside me in the dormitory. But then I forced myself to look up, and the barred window was still there. An uncontrollable chill shook me. This was a jail, and I was not dreaming. I was on trial for my life. The dean phoned my father, who came rushing to my aid. He was led into my cell.
Frank.
Dad, this is awful for you. Brian gone and me here.
Son, we've got to fight.
I guess you're right, Dad. Did you get me a lawyer?
Yes, the best lawyer in the state, Peter J. Cheney. He'll be here shortly.
Dad, I just can't believe it. It's too incredible.
You and Brian were so close. Frank, how did it happen?
I don't know. Those bullets were blanks. I tested them the day I got them.
Well, there can be only one answer. Someone replaced the blanks in your gun with real bullets.
But who? Why? No one knew about our plan to stage a mock crime but Brian and me. I didn't even have any real bullets in my possession. There wasn't even the possibility of a mistake. Brian certainly never would have done it. He knew full well the gun was going to be fired at him.
And who? Why?
I just can't figure it, Dad. It's driving me mad.
Think hard, Frank. Isn't there anybody, one single person, who knew about or suspected the hoax?
No, there isn't. Not a living soul can testify that Brian and I were playing a game. The only voice that could prove it belongs to my dead brother. But on the other hand, everyone on campus can testify that we had bitter quarrels. None of them knows that the quarrels were faked, and at least 12 witnesses saw me shoot my own brother down. Saw me murder Brian in cold blood.
Frank, this is a clear-cut case of first-degree murder in one of its worst forms, fratricide. I haven't a scrap of evidence with which to defend you. In fact, any story I might present would be ridiculed.
Well, what can we do, Mr. Cheney?
You'll have to plead insanity.
I won't. I can't.
Judge Jackson, you know we couldn't win your son's acquittal on the strength of the boy's absolutely unsupported story.
Well, I must
But
say
it is true, I tell you.
I believe you. Otherwise, I wouldn't defend you. But we don't even have an explanation of why there were real bullets in that gun.
Dear God, I wish I knew.
Son, a jury might credit a plea of insanity. A nervous breakdown resulting from overwork. With good character witnesses for you, you might have a chance.
Dad, what should I do?
Frank, I have no right to dissuade you from choosing the legal course which has the best chance of saving your life. But I can only say that I believe in telling the truth. In fact, it's all you can do if you honestly believe in the justice of the law and trust it.
I do, Dad. I do. I'll stick to the truth.
I don't like it, Frank.
That's the way it has to be.
Frank, I'm a criminal lawyer and I know juries. And I tell you, my boy, there isn't any jury in the world that would swallow your story.
How right. How bitterly right Mr. Cheney was. No jury would swallow my story. The parade of witnesses called by the state was crushingly incriminating. And then before I realized it, Tom Penson was sworn in on the stand to testify against me.
Now, Mr. Penson, you were acquainted with the late Brian Jackson?
I was.
And you know the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Would you say that as brothers they were very close and fond of each other?
Well, they were. At least until a little over a month ago.
You mean that something came between them?
Well, I suppose so, but I don't know what.
Very well. Now, Mr. Penson, were you present in the cafeteria on the afternoon of December 10th?
Yes, sir. I was having a cup of coffee with the defendant, Frank Jackson.
What happened?
Brian came in and Frank insulted him.
What do you mean he insulted him?
Well, Frank said, "Take a look at what my father expects Tulane to transform into a lawyer."
He meant, of course, his brother Brian?
Yes, sir. And he said it so loud that everyone in the cafeteria must have heard it.
I see. Then what happened?
Brian accused Frank of stealing his watch.
Was that the end of their quarrel?
No, Frank denied that he had the watch, and Brian struck him.
You saw that blow struck?
I did. Yes, sir.
Mr. Penson, were you present when the defendant fired the shots that killed his brother?
I was.
Where did that take place?
In the bookshop.
What were your reactions?
I could hardly believe my eyes. I kept hoping it was some kind of a joke.
Go on.
I rushed over to Frank's room.
Did you say anything to him?
I did. I asked him why he did it and how he could have done such a terrible thing.
What did he say?
He said, "I killed the little stinker because he had it coming to him."
That doesn't exist for me. Every word spoken by every witness condemned me. To them, I was a murderer. As the testimony was piling up the evidence against me, I kept remembering the last serious thing Brian said to me.
"This is one time that I'll win, Frank."
Ironically enough, it was beginning to look as if this time Brian would win. Listening to all the testimony, I began to doubt my own sanity. My story began to sound foolish and incredible to my own ears. But it was all I had to offer in my own defense. No proof, no witnesses. The entire courtroom, I knew, was convinced of my guilt beyond the shadow of a doubt. Suddenly, I was aware that the prosecutor was questioning me.
I repeat, what happened to the blank bullets you claimed you had?
I told you before, I don't know.
Again, I ask you, if all of this was just a hoax, as you stated, and if the whole thing was kept an absolute secret by you and the deceased, who could have known and who could have changed those bullets?
I don't know.
There are too many things you don't know, Mr. Jackson. I would say that you don't even know how to lie.
I'm not lying. It's the truth. It's the truth, so help me God. I didn't kill my brother. I didn't kill him. By some curious form of mass hypnotism, I almost began to share the belief that I was guilty. Perhaps I really had been temporarily insane. Perhaps I had willfully, deliberately murdered Brian in cold blood. My brain was whirling, and my hands were clammy when I rose to face the jury. They'd been out for less than an hour. I couldn't believe that I was going to listen to words that would legally terminate my life. The jury found me guilty as charged. I screamed, "No, that can't be. It's all a mistake, an awful mistake. My story's true, every word of it. This is murder. You're murdering an innocent man!" I was sentenced to die on the 4th of March. That gave me some time to think about the amazing thing, the unbelievable thing that had happened to me, some time to explore my soul and memory. I was innocent, and I had told the truth. But Brian was dead, and I was found guilty of his murder, and only he could have proved my innocence. His words came back to me 100 times a day.
"This is one time I'll win, Frank."
I began to remember the arguments Brian and I had on capital punishment and murder. and the prophetic irony of his contention that under our laws an innocent man could be convicted of murder and be legally murdered by the state. 3 days after my sentence had been pronounced, the door of my cell was unlocked. The prison guard came in and told me the warden wanted to see me. I lurched along beside the guard down the long corridor and through a panel door. Inside the room were my father, Mr. Cheney, and another man I didn't recognize. The warden spoke first.
Jackson, this is Mr. Bixton, a notary public. He's come here with an amazing story that I want him to tell you in front of your father and your lawyer. All right, Mr. Bixton.
Well, you see, 3 days before your brother was before he died, he came to me and wrote out a statement which he made me witness without reading. It was sealed in an envelope in my presence, and I kept it in my safe.
Please go on.
Your brother said you were going to be tried for a crime, and that if you were convicted, I was to hand this envelope to the warden 3 days after your sentence. I have acted upon his instructions. The warden has read the letter and wants me to give it to you. Here it is.
To whom it may concern. This is an open letter to my brother Frank, who will probably need it. Dear Frank,
I hope you will forgive me for what I did to you. It was I, Brian Jackson, who replaced the blanks in your gun with real bullets. If you recall, you kept urging me to see a doctor because of my cough. I did see a doctor, but never told you or Dad that he had given me only a year to live at most. I couldn't stand a lingering death like that, Frank, so from the very beginning when we planned the hoax, I had suicide in mind. That is what it practically was. But I wanted to prove to you for once that you were wrong. I wanted to show you that you, a perfectly innocent man, could be convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death under
our system of law. This letter will, of course, bring you your freedom. But if my hand had not risen from the grave, so to speak, the law would have hanged you. Now do you admit that murder, even the clearest murder, is purely a matter of opinion?
Suspense. You've been listening to Murder is a Matter of Opinion, starring Phil Meader and William Lipton, and written for Suspense by Ronald Dawson, based on a story by Jules Archer. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr., music supervision by Ethel Huber. Also featured in tonight's story were Ronald Liss as Tom Penson, Bernard Lenrow as Judge Jackson, Maurice Tarplin as the prosecutor, Ivor Francis as Mr. Cheney, Bob Dryden as the captain, and Lawson Zerby as the dean. Listen again next week when we return with Sold to Satan, written by Joseph Cochran, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Expanded CBS News every hour on the hour weekdays presents the most complete network news coverage. This is the CBS Radio Network.
And that is the twist that you come to more expect from shows like The Whistler than from Suspense. But it was a great twist. 63 years ago, August 20th, 1961, Suspense here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We stay in New York City for a production of Boston Blackie starring Dick Kollmar from 78 years ago, August 20th, 1946. That's next.
Not all careless drivers have accidents, but many such careless drivers cause accidents. A woman driver who drives slowly down Main Street while doing a little window shopping is a menace. So is the man who insists on telling the people in the back seat of his car about his poker game last week. It's no wonder that ordinarily cautious drivers start to lose their tempers and take dangerous chances to pass these careless drivers. When an accident results, the person who caused the accident probably won't even be touched. So the National Safety Council says if you want to window shop, get out and walk. If you are too busy describing one of your sterling feats to pay any attention to traffic, get out and walk. The driver's license you have does not give you the right to endanger the lives of your passengers or other human beings. Driving can be dangerous, Keep your mind on what you're doing, or walk.
A Tuesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox and an episode of Dick Kollmar, starring as Boston Blackie, 78 years ago, August 20th, 1946.
Come in. Oh, come right in, Mr. Adams.
How are you this morning, Mr. Parker?
Fine, just fine. I don't have to guess what you're here about, do I?
No, I don't suppose you do. Well, Mr. Parker, all you have to do to renew the fire insurance on your building is just sign this form. Here you are.
Mr. Adams, all I have to do is sign that form if I were going to renew the policies.
Oh, now come, Mr. Parker. You're not going to switch to another company, are you?
No, I'm not switching to another company. I've just decided not to carry any more fire insurance on my building.
Oh, now I know you're kidding. That building of yours is much too valuable not to be heavily insured. And the machinery in it, Mr. Parker, you'd lose a fortune if anything ever happened to that.
I've had that building and machinery covered for 3 years, and nothing has happened to it so far.
Well, perhaps not, but a fire could break out at any time today, tomorrow, next week. Just think what a tragedy that would be. Your policy lapses at noon today. You can't be serious about not renewing.
I am serious, Mr. Adams. I'm sorry, but that's my decision.
Well, all right, Mr. Parker. It's your decision, and it's your building. But if it burns down any time after 12 o'clock noon today, it's also your loss.
And now meet Dick Kollmar as Boston Blackie. Enemy to those who make him an enemy, friend to those who have no friend.
Blackie, this is a lovely view from your window, but I've stared at it so long it's staring back. How soon can we go out and eat?
In just a little while, Mary. I have to finish this letter to Shorty. Long letter to the short one. That's mixed up, isn't it?
Kinda. Hurry up, will you? I'll stare at the view some more.
Go see who that is, will you, Mary?
Sure. It's probably somebody from the lovely view to complain about me staring at it.
Might be someone from down in the street who thought you were a lovely view.
Well, you say the nicest things to me. When you're so busy, you don't know what you're saying. Yes?
This Boston Blackie's apartment.
It is, and that's Blackie right over there at his desk.
Oh, yes, of course. I didn't see him.
There have been people who couldn't see me, some who wouldn't, but you're the first fellow who didn't. Oh, hello. We've met, haven't we, Mr.
Yes, my name is Gardner. Blackie. Robert Gardner. I met you at that party at your friend Charlie Kingston's penthouse last month.
Oh, yes, that's right. You and a fellow named Jim Parker are in business together, aren't you?
That's right. We own a large factory building on 11th Street.
Of course. Oh, this is Miss Wesley, Mr. Gardner.
Miss Wesley.
How do you do, Mr. Gardner?
Well, Gardner, is there something I can do for you?
Yes, Blackie. I wouldn't ask you this if I went desperate. It's a little embarrassing, but I guess everybody in town knows I'm broke. Blackie, I've got to have $25,000, and I've got to have it fast.
$25,000?
Yes. You came to me for $25,000? Well, that's a little out of my class, Gardner. If 1,000 will do you any good,
No,
probably...
Blackie, no. 1,000 won't be a bit of good. It has to be 25,000 at least.
Well, I'm afraid I can't swing that. You say everyone in town knows you're broke. Why, I understand that you and your partner Parker are pretty well off.
Parker is, but I'm not. Really, the only thing I have is my half ownership of that building, and the machinery on 11th Street is worth a lot of money, Blackie, but right now what I need is cash.
Mortgage?
I've already done that, Blackie. My wife is the reason I have no money, and the reason I need money now. She's demanding things I can't afford to give her, and I've got to buy them for her or she'll leave me, and I can't let that happen.
No, I suppose not. Tell you what I'll do. You've met Charlie Kingston.
Yes.
Why don't you ask him for the money? Use your interest in your firm as security.
You think Mr. Kingston would lend me the money?
He might. Try. Can't do any harm. It might be a good investment for Charlie. I'll call him and tell him you'll be up.
Oh, thanks, Blackie. I'll see him first thing in the morning. Thanks a lot.
Don't thank me. I haven't done anything.
Yes, you have. You've given me hope of getting that $25,000, and you don't know how much I need it. I'd do almost anything to get it. Well, goodbye, Blackie. And goodbye, Miss Wesley. It's nice to have met you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye and lots of luck.
Luck, Miss Wesley. I don't need that. I need money.
Oh, that man is desperate, Blackie.
Yes, Mary, and there are 25,000 reasons why.
What, Robert? What did you say?
I said you could have that new coat you wanted, Harriet.
Oh, now, Robert, please don't make such stupid statements.
No, it's true.
Where would you get the money?
Well, I'm going to get it. I saw Boston Blackie a little while ago.
And he's going to give it to you?
Well, never mind about that. The money's as good as in my pocket right now. The money for the coat and a whole lot more.
Oh, why, darling, how sweet of you. I'll go down and pick out the coat this very afternoon.
Good.
Now, you're sure you're not joking about having the money?
This time tomorrow, sweetheart, I'll be rich. See you for dinner?
Oh, you know you will. Now, goodbye, darling.
Bye, Harriet.
Guess who that was and what he wanted, Jim.
I don't have to guess, darling. I know. It was your ever-loving husband. He was bribing you to stay with him. My, what a lovely one-handed conversation it was, too.
One-handed, Jim? I don't understand.
You were holding the telephone receiver with one hand, and the other was busy holding my hand.
You're my husband's partner, aren't you? That's my part in the partnership.
You love me, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Enough to be Mrs. Jim Parker one of these days?
Could be. I haven't quite decided to leave Robert yet, especially now.
Harriet, you will leave him one of these days and come to me. I have more money right now than your dear husband has ever seen.
I know. Your money's one of the reasons I... Oh, that may be Robert. He may have been phoning from across the street. You'd better get out of here.
All right.
Out the back way, quickly.
All right. Oh, but listen, Harriet. If I give you a reason to leave Robert, will you do it?
Oh, stop worrying about it, Jim, and get out of here.
All right. Bye, darling.
Goodbye. Coming. Oh,
Mrs. Robert Gardner?
yes.
I'm Boston Blackie.
Oh, my. How thrilling.
It might be at that, Mrs. Gardner. May I come in?
I should say.
Ah, maybe you should, but not like that.
You're here to see my husband?
No, Mrs. Gardner, I'm here to see you. Your husband came to me this morning trying to borrow $25,000.
Fine. I could use $25,000. It should buy a lot of things, don't you think?
I can tell you right now what it's going to buy, Mrs. Gardner. Trouble.
And a few furs and jewels, perhaps. Having them might be worth a little trouble.
Mrs. Gardner, I know it's no business of mine to come here like this, but my friend Mary Wesley suggested...
Never
that
mind
perhaps
what
if
your friend Mary suggested, Blackie. Let me make a little suggestion. Let me run my own life.
I'd let you run your life, Mrs. Gardner, except that I'm sure you'll ruin your husband's.
Get away! Get away from that south wall, man! The flames have weakened those girders, and the walls are about to come down. Look out! There it goes! Oh, that was close. All the men out of the building okay? Yeah, okay. Number 5 and 6 trucks, turn your hose on the side of the building where the wall fell. We don't want that fire to spread to the next building. Hello, Chief. How's everything? Oh, it's you, Inspector Faraday. Well, we've been fighting the fire since 8:45, but we'll have it out in no time. Come on, it's under control now. You've got work to do on this one, Inspector. Yeah? Why? Well, this fire didn't start by itself, Faraday. It was set. Arson? That's what they call it. And I think it's slightly illegal. Hey, what's this? Hey, you in the car. Keep moving. No parking here.
But I'm part owner of this building.
Oh, that's different. I understand your partner's around somewhere.
Hey, what happened? How did it start? Can't you say anything?
Take it easy, fella. Take it easy. What's your name?
Gardner, Robert Gardner.
Robert!
Yeah,
Robert,
Jim.
they finally got in touch with you.
Jim, this is terrible.
Oh, you don't know how terrible. Hey, who's this guy?
Parker, Jim Parker, my partner. He's the other half owner of this building.
Well, from here it looks like all you guys own is a pile of ashes.
But it's not as bad as it seems, Inspector. The building and everything in it is insured.
Well, that's good.
No, that's bad. It was insured, Robert. Jim! Like a fool, I let the policy lapse at noon today.
Answer your phone this time, will you, Harriet? Why aren't you home?
Excuse me,
Huh?
sir. Oh, sorry.
sorry I frightened you, sir, but this note was left for you at 7 o'clock this evening. I thought it might be important. I didn't mean to disturb you, what with the fire and all.
Oh, thanks, Martin. Any word from Mrs. Gardner this evening?
No, sir.
That's strange. I've called her at her home several times tonight and got no answer. Well, I'll try her again in a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
Who brought the note, Martin?
A messenger, sir.
Oh. Wonder what it is. By the smell of it, it's from a young lady. An attractive young lady.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if it's an attractive message, too. I was right about the lady being attractive, Martin. It's from Mrs. Gardner.
Well, splendid. Perhaps it explains why you aren't able to reach her tonight.
I hope so. Yes, it says, I've decided to leave him at once. We'll meet you at your office at 8:30 tonight.
Oh, Mr. Parker, sir, you're so pale. What's the matter?
What's the matter, Martin? It's Mrs. Gardner. If she was to meet me at my office at 8:30, she was caught in the fire. She's dead.
Look, Gardner, I've had guys sitting here in my office till they grew beards because I wouldn't talk. So you better start talking.
But I tell you, Inspector Faraday, I didn't set fire to my building.
Oh, you didn't, huh?
No.
You're not getting anywheres with him this way, Faraday.
Quiet, Blackie.
Quiet? Why? You didn't ask me down here to be quiet, did you?
No, all I want you to tell me is that Gardner came to you asking for money this morning, that's all.
Yes, and I told you he did.
And I admit I did, but that's all I admit. I didn't set fire to my building. Why should I?
Why should you? I'll tell you why. You needed money.
But the building wasn't insured. I got no money from it.
I know. But you didn't know the building wasn't insured. You didn't know it till after the fire. Do you deny that?
Oh, no, I don't deny that.
You'd better not. Because I was right there when you heard the news. And you admitted then it was the first you'd heard of it. You said you were ruined. And you also said this would be the end of you and your wife. Just what was the meaning of that crack, anyhow?
About my wife?
Yeah.
Ask my partner, Jim Parker, about that. He'll tell you.
What does he know about it?
He knows my wife was ready to leave me. In fact, I think she was going to leave me for him. The reason I went to Blackie was because I wanted money for her.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Well, you know what you're doing, don't you? You're admitting you burned down your building to get money for your wife.
Blackie, make him believe I didn't set fire to that building.
I'd like to do that, Gardner, but...
But you can't. Nobody can. Because he did set fire to that building. He needed money. He admits that. He thought the building was insured. He admits that. He set fire to that building.
Faraday, he doesn't admit that.
No, and I'm not going to.
Well, I'll tell you something you are going to. You're going to jail.
No, I didn't. Blackie, can't you help me?
I don't know, Gardner. I'll try. But whoever did set that fire certainly made it hot for you.
Now back to Boston Blackie. When Boston Blackie was unable to lend Robert Gardner $25,000, he knew that Gardner would do something desperate to get the money. But he didn't think he'd go so far as to set fire to a building for the insurance money. What Blackie didn't know, though, was that Jim Parker, Gardner's partner, had allowed the insurance to lapse and had himself set fire to the building in a plan to ruin Gardner and take Gardner's wife away from him. Gardner's wife, also unaware of Parker's plan, was to meet Parker in the building, and now Parker thinks she died in the flames. Nothing has been said about a body being found in the building, however, and with Robert Gardner in jail for arson, Blackie goes to see Jim Parker.
Yes?
I'd like to see Mr. Parker, please. Mr. James Parker.
I'm sorry, sir. He's not in.
You expect him in soon?
Yes, sir. Would you like to eat?
I wouldn't like to, but I will.
Very good.
You're Parker's butler?
Obviously. His new butler.
Oh. Well, you aren't exactly the butler type.
Odd that you should say that, sir. That's one of Mr. Parker's most frequent complaints about me.
Say, do you know where Mr. Parker is at the moment?
Yes, sir. He's down at the fire.
At the fire?
Well, at the building, sir, or what's left of it.
But why? The fire's been out since late last night.
I know Mr. Parker didn't say why he was going down to the building. Perhaps he thought you might be there.
He thought I'd be there?
Yes. You're his partner, Mr. Gardner, aren't you?
Yes, I am, of course. Maybe you can help me.
Well, I'll do anything I can, sir.
Well, I've been at police headquarters ever since the fire. My wife's probably tried to get in touch with me and wasn't able to. I wonder if she left any word for me here.
I know she didn't, sir. No word for you.
Oh, she did leave some word for Mr. Parker?
Oh, just the note.
The note? What note?
Oh, the note was from Mr. Parker saying she wanted to meet him at his office at 8:30 last night. Perhaps I shouldn't be...
Never mind what you should or shouldn't say, my friend. And don't bother to tell your master I was here to see him. I'm going down to the fire and tell him so myself.
Maybe here. Maybe it has to be here. Oh, not here.
Looking for
maybe...
something, Parker?
Huh? Who are you? What do you want?
I'm Boston Blackie, and I want to talk to you.
I don't have time to talk right now.
Why not? You seem to have time to nose around this pile of burned-up junk.
Well, this is my building. This is still my property. I can do what I want here.
Well, maybe I can help you. Looking for anything in particular?
No.
Then what are you looking for?
Nothing. Just looking.
Looking for nothing? Well, that should take no time. Your partner, Robert Gardner, is looking for something. He's looking for his wife, and I have an idea that's bad.
Bad? Why?
She's missing.
Missing? Where is she?
You don't make much sense, Parker. If anyone knew where she was, she wouldn't be missing. I think I have an idea why she's missing.
You do? Why?
I happen to know she planned to meet you in your office in this building at 8:30 last night.
So?
So the building caught fire a little after 8:30, when she was supposed to be in your office. That's why you're down here. You know she was supposed to be in your office last night. You think she died in the fire. That's why you're here, to make sure. If you can.
I don't know anything about Mrs. Gardner.
You know plenty about her, Parker. You wanted her, and I think she was agreeable to leaving her husband for you.
I know nothing about it.
You know the whole story, Parker, from start to finish. You let the insurance policy on this building lapse and set fire to it, so you destroy Gardner's last hope of being able to support his wife. You knew Gardner's wife would leave him as soon as she saw he was flat broke. You're in a spot, Parker.
I am? Why?
I'll tell you why. Like a lot of women, maybe Mrs. Gardner was late for her 8:30 appointment with you last night.
She was?
Maybe. Maybe she got down here just in time to see the building go up in flames and you run out of the place. And maybe she got the very unpleasant thought that you were trying to murder her. She might not like that, Parker. I'd certainly hate to be in your shoes if Mrs. Gardner is alive.
Hello, Parker speaking.
Hello, Jim.
Hello. Who's this?
Don't you know me? Don't you know me, darling?
No. Who is this?
Well, maybe seeing what you tried to do to me has changed my voice a little, darling.
Is this Harriet?
Oh, you do remember me? Yes. Yes, this is Harriet. Harriet Gardner.
This is Harriet? What's the matter with your voice?
It's my throat. It's raw from all the smoke that got into it during that fire.
Oh, I see. Harriet, are you all right?
Oh, yes, I'm all right. But you aren't.
What do you mean?
I mean, I saw what you tried to do to me, and I'm going to get you for it. Good night, darling.
Harriet, listen to me. Listen to me. Hello?
Hello, Jim, darling. How are you this morning?
Harriet, is that you?
Oh, you know my voice right away this time. Why? Were you thinking about me last night?
What's the matter with this wire?
The same thing that's the matter with us. The connection is bad.
Look, Harriet, about what you said on the phone last night.
What about it?
You've got everything all wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
No?
Well, I know what I saw.
But you don't understand. Look, I'll give you $50,000. You always wanted money. I'll give you $50,000.
Too late. I don't want to get money now. All I want is to get you. Goodbye, darling.
I'll get it, Martin.
Yes, Mr. Parker. Very good, sir.
Hello.
Hello, Jim, darling. Spending a quiet evening at home.
Harriet.
Yes. I waited till this evening to call you. I thought you'd be lonesome.
Harriet, listen to me.
Why?
Because you must. These calls are driving me mad. I'll give you $100,000 to go away.
Why, that's twice what you offered me this morning.
I know. Will you take it?
Why?
To keep quiet about what you know and to leave me alone.
Oh, I'm going to leave you alone, darling. Very much alone.
You are?
Yes. This is my last telephone call. And yours, too. I'm going to kill you for what you did to me. And I'm going to kill you tonight.
Harriet. Harriet. Oh. Martin. Martin. Martin.
Yes, Mr. Parker.
Get my car right away. Right away, do you hear?
You're going out tonight, sir?
Yes, I'm going to police headquarters.
Now, go through the whole thing slowly this time, Parker, so the police stenographer can take it all down.
All right, Inspector Faraday.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I set fire to my building. I canceled the fire insurance policy first.
Canceled it or let it lapse?
Let it lapse.
Why?
It was Robert Gardner's only means of income. I wanted to destroy the building and therefore wipe him out.
Why?
So that his wife would leave him. I was in love with her and wanted her, but she wouldn't leave him as long as he could support her.
Then you set fire to the building yourself, and Gardner had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all. I did it all myself. It was my idea, and I did it all myself. Now protect me, will you? You have your confession. Protect me.
Protect you, Parker? From what? From whom?
From Mrs. Gardner. She planned to meet me in the building the night of the fire. She saw me set fire to it. She thought I planned to kill her, so she's going to kill me.
I don't think she'll kill you, Parker.
But she will. She said so herself.
She did. When?
Just an hour ago on the telephone. She's threatened me 3 times since the fire.
I wonder where she was calling from. She's dead.
What?
She died in the fire.
No, that can't be.
It not only can be, Parker, it is. She kept that 8:30 appointment with you and was caught in your office when the building went up in flames. We found her body in the ruins about an hour after we got the fire out.
But if she's dead, who called me up today and again this evening?
Who? I'll show you who.
What did you push that buzzer for?
Relax. Nothing's going to harm you, Parker. Nothing but the law.
You buzz for us, Faraday?
Yeah, Blackie. Come on in. You too, Miss Wesley.
Thanks, Inspector Faraday. Case over?
Yes, Miss Wesley. For everybody but Parker here. With Mrs. Gardner dead, he wants to know who called him up and threatened him.
Why, I did. Don't you recognize my voice, darling?
It was you?
You catch on fast, Parker.
But why? Why wasn't I told that Harriet was dead? I've been frantic since the fire. Frantic.
But not frantic enough, Parker. Not frantic enough to talk until you thought you yourself were in danger.
Yeah. And then you talked, but plenty. Hey, Rollins! Rollins! Rollins, get this guy out of here. Lock him up.
Okay, Inspector. All right, but you don't have to push me. You don't have to.
Well, I solved another one, eh, Blackie?
You solved another one?
Yeah.
Whose idea was it that Robert Gardner was innocent?
Okay, it was yours. But I was ready to let him go. In fact, I'm going to let him go now.
Sure, after a trick of mine forced Parker to confess. And whose idea was it not to reveal that we'd found the body in the fire so that the killer would go crazy wondering whether or not Mrs. Gardner was dead?
All right. That was your idea, too. But I agreed it would work, didn't I?
Yes, I'll give you credit for that much. But whose idea was it
Hey,
that we...
just a minute, you two. While you're passing out compliments, don't forget me. It was my voice that fooled Mr. Parker. I'd like to hear either one of you impersonate a woman, dead or alive. So, how about a little bit of credit for me?
Oh, I'll give you lots of credit, Miss Wesley.
Yes, Faraday, give Mary the credit. But see that you give Parker the works.
78 years ago, August 20th, 1946, Boston Blackie, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up tomorrow, more crime with episodes of Night Watch, Mystery in the Air, starring Peter Lorre. A Life in Your Hands, based on the Earl Stanley Gardner book from 1952. Also, The Shadow, an episode from 1938 that not only stars Orson Welles, but also stars Margot Stevenson as Margot Lane. And we'll cap it all off with one of our episodes of Lum and Abner. That'll all be coming up on our Wednesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But next, Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic in I Was a Communist for the FBI.
Our religious institutions are strongholds of the American way of life. Our country was founded by men who had faith in God and who were willing to endure hardship and sacrifice for the sake of that faith. Today, the religious institutions in your community need your interest and support, so take an active part in religious affairs. Your pastor, rabbi, or priest will give you invaluable family counsel and aid if you are a newcomer to the community. To face the problems of the future, America must be morally strong. And that moral strength comes through worship and faith. Go to church this week and take someone with you.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with an episode of I Was a Communist for the FBI, starring Dana Andrews. This goes back 72 years to August 20th, 1952. The story about the Red Record.
I was a communist for the FBI.
Starring Dana Andrews in an exciting tale of danger and espionage. I Was a Communist for the FBI. The story you are about to hear is based on the actual records and authentic experiences of Matt Cvetic, who for 9 fantastic years lived as a communist for the FBI. Here is our star, Dana Andrews, as Matt Cvetic.
9 years. For 9 long years I played my part, like walking a tightrope in a circus. But if I fell, there wasn't going to be any net to save me. It's a lonesome, thankless job, trying to be a communist for the FBI.
In a moment, listen to Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic, Undercover Man. Now, here is Dana Andrews as Matt Cvetic, Undercover Man. This story from the confidential file is marked The Red Record.
Oh, Comrade Matt, come in.
I went to a meeting of my communist cell. It was Tuesday, 9 p.m. There were 6 of us there, 4 men, 2 women. We went through all the reports, propaganda, the directives, and then Comrade Ted, the leader of our cell, had a word to say.
Just keep this in mind, comrades. The party expects nothing impossible, just do what you're told. I think that's all. Good night. Oh, Comrade Matt, wait just a second, will you?
Oh, me? Sure.
Sit down.
Yes, Comrade?
Have you ever been in Chicago?
I've passed through a couple of times, but that's all.
Have you got any connections there? Relatives? Anybody there know you?
Not that I know of.
Okay. You know, comrade, you're a pretty good-looking guy, and that isn't going to do any harm on the job we've got for you.
What job?
Well, the Central Committee decided, from what I told them about you, that you're the comrade to handle this foul-up.
I don't understand.
You don't have to understand. All you have to do is obey orders.
Okay, what are my orders?
Pack a bag full of clothes and be at the information desk at the Union Station at 1 a.m., 4 hours from now.
Where am I going?
Don't worry about it.
Then, how long will I be gone?
Who knows, comrade? Maybe forever.
Comrade Ted gave me some money for expenses, and then we walked out to the street together. At the corner, we parted.
Well, see you again, comrade.
See you again, comrade. That's something that drives you crazy when you're supposed to be a communist and you're working for the FBI. See you again, comrade, they say. They'll see you again. That's one thing you can be sure of. I walked across town to the place where I lived and went up to my room.
Hello?
This is John F. Smith. I want to talk to Uncle Zach.
Okay, Matt, go ahead.
I'm being sent somewhere. I'm not sure, but I think it's Chicago. I'm supposed to make a contact at the Union Station at 1 a.m.
Do you know what it's about?
No idea.
Chicago. Yes, there's an operation in Chicago that we've heard about. I'll give you a number to call if you need it. Maybe you will. Michigan 91112.
Michigan 91112.
Don't write it down. Just remember it.
I'll remember. At 1 o'clock, I was waiting at the information desk in the Union Station.
Track 3 for Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo.
Hello, comrade.
Oh, Comrade Ted.
Here's your ticket and your reservation. The train's due now, so get going.
Where am I going?
Chicago. You'll be met at the station. Come on.
Who's going to meet me? How'll I know?
He'll say, "Hello, George. How's Aunt Agatha?"
How will he know me?
Don't worry about that. He'll know you.
Forward!
Good luck, comrade.
I stared out of the window at the lights flashing by in the night. Lights in the farmhouses, gas stations, and stores. Traffic lights. Auto lights. The lights of peace, I thought. Those are the lights we're trying to keep burning.
Hello, George. How's Aunt Agatha?
Mike was the man's name. Comrade Mike. He took me to his room in a boarding house. He took off his shoes and lit a pipe. He settled down in a chair with broken springs. Then he looked at me as if I were something in an aquarium behind glass. Interested, but unsympathetic. At his side, there was a record player, and he switched it on.
Well, you don't mind a little music, comrade? Just in case somebody on the other side of the wall might be interested in our conversation.
Comrade Mike.
Just Mike will do.
Oh, Mike, then. Mike, tell me, what goes on? Why did they send me here?
You don't know?
No idea.
Well, now, comrades like this. There was this man named Jay, you see, Comrade Jay, sort of theatrical producer and pretty high in the party. I don't know exactly why, but they kind of got the idea he was working with the other team.
So, what happened?
Well, poor Comrade Jay.
He died.
Oh, definitely, comrade. You never saw Anita's suicide. When I arrange a suicide, it's what I mean arranged.
No, take your word for it, comrade. But I still don't get the reason why they sent me here.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's this way. Comrade Jay had a little black book with some names and addresses and notes in it. And I always carried it with him, but when we found his body, it wasn't on him. Wasn't in his car, wasn't in his room.
You didn't find it?
No, sir, we didn't. And the party's just got to have that book. And that's why we brought you here.
Well, why me? Why bring me all the way here?
Well, now, I tell you. The party brought you here because they think you got away with women. And you're a stranger.
Wait a minute.
No, that's right, comrade. You see, Comrade Jay produced a show in a nightclub on South Wabash. The star of the show was a girlfriend of his named Gloria Dawn.
Gloria Dawn. So?
So, the party believes Comrade J may have left that little black book with Gloria. Now, you're a stranger in town, and you're good-looking. It's up to you.
You mean I'm supposed to get this girl to confide in me?
Any way that you please, comrade.
Suppose she hasn't got the book.
Oh, she got it somewhere. And that's why you're here. To talk sweet to that dame till she tells you everything she knows.
Okay. Where do I find her?
She's working in a Double or Nothing club on the south side. You'll find her, and you talk to her, and your report to me will be good, I hope, comrade.
Yeah, I'd find Gloria Dawn, and my report would be good. It would have to be. I'd been instructed by the comrade. The Double or Nothing Club was loud and strictly not for children under the age of 35.
And now we take great pride in presenting the star of our show, Miss Gloria Dawn. Here she is. Let's give her a great big hand.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Now, let's go.
It was just about what I expected, and I was not really surprised when I caught a glimpse of Comrade Mike in a far corner. I expected to be followed because the comrades just don't trust each other out of sight. After several hundred years, the floor show was over. Comrade Mike was still somewhere behind me, and in front of me was anything from simple, flirtatious nonsense to sudden death. Poor Comrade J. I found my way backstage to the dirty corridor where the dressing rooms were.
Yeah?
Miss Dawn,
Yeah?
remember me?
No.
Matt Cvetic.
I never saw you before, mister.
May I come in?
Lose yourself, chum.
All right, I just wanted to talk to you about Jay.
Jay, what about him?
Do you think he killed himself?
Well, I... Come in. Sit down while I take off this makeup. What'd you say your name was?
Matt Cvetic.
Oh, yeah. Mind if I ask? Are you a cop?
No, certainly not. Why?
Then why are you asking me about Jay?
Well, he was a friend of mine. I heard he was a friend of yours, that's all.
Oh. You were a friend of his. How long did you know him?
Well, it's been years. I guess I first knew him right here in Chicago.
He was a stinker.
Sure.
A real stinker.
Of course he was, from the day he was born.
Well, why'd you come back here to talk to me about Jay?
It's just an excuse to meet you.
Why?
Because you're beautiful. At least I thought you were beautiful out there, but now that I see you closer, without your makeup, you're even more beautiful.
Okay, honey. Wait for me outside.
When I got home that night, I was questioned at length by Comrade Mike. What had I said to Gloria? What had she said to me? Where did we go when we left the nightclub? What was her reaction when I mentioned Comrade J?
We know Comrade J had that book up the time he went into Gloria's dressing room. We know he didn't have it when he left. We've searched every inch of that dressing room, and we know it isn't there. We know Gloria didn't take it away with her. Gloria is exactly what she seems to be, a body without a brain.
Look, Comrade, this assignment is nothing but trouble. I don't like it.
Well?
Suppose I don't find the book.
Suppose you were dead, Comrade.
Back to Dana Andrews, starring as Matt Cvetic in I Was a Communist for the FBI, and the second act of our story.
Just pretending to be a loyal member of the Communist Party was hard enough. But having to be a detective for the party was a little harder. A couple of days went by. Gloria and I were together day and night. I tried to get her to talk about Jay. She wanted to talk about herself. But on the third night, after the show in her dressing room...
Close your eyes, honey.
Roger, eyes closed. Say, Gloria, why don't you think Jay killed himself?
Did I ever say that?
You believe it, don't you?
Oh, I don't know. Only I think he knew he was going to be knocked off that night. He came in here when I was dressing like now. He had a little portable radio with him. He put it down on the table there and said, "This is for you, babe. If I never come back, this radio will play." He didn't come back, and the thing wouldn't play.
If I never come back, this radio will play.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Did you tell anybody about that?
Tell who? The cops? I wouldn't tell them the time of day.
What happened to the radio, Gloria?
What did I do with the thing? This dressing room is so cluttered up. I guess I left it in the property room with all the costumes and junk.
Do you think it's still there?
What difference does it make?
Oh, I thought I might be able to fix it for you. I know a little about radios.
Yeah? Well, maybe it's still there. Come on. Here, this is it. It looks so beat up, I don't think you could sell it for $1. You think you can fix it?
No, I don't know, but at least I can see if the tubes light up. After I snap off this back panel. Oh?
You find the trouble, honey?
Yeah, I think so. Let me take it with me. I'll get it fixed for you. Something as good as new.
Okay, honey. Honey, do you believe in second sight? When Jay left here that night, he said if he never comes back, that radio will play. Well, forget about the radio, but he must have known he'd never come back.
Yeah. Maybe he did know he'd never come back. Maybe he was right about the radio, too. Maybe it will play. I took Gloria home to her apartment, and when I finally got away, I had the radio tucked under my arm.
I'll see you again, won't I?
I'll bring the radio back to you tomorrow, baby. Maybe tonight.
Okay, honey. Take care.
Don't worry about that, sweetheart. I'll take care. For sure. I walked along a Chicago street I'd never seen before, and all the time I was conscious of the fact that I was being followed. Comrade Mike, of course, in a slow-moving car behind me. At a street corner, there was an empty taxi.
Where to?
Just drive.
What's the trouble, Bud?
Trouble? What do you mean?
Okay, where to?
Do you know a place that would repair a radio this time of night?
What kind of radio?
Portable.
Yeah, maybe I do. It's a garage where I know a guy. You want me to take you there?
That's exactly where I want you to take me.
Here's the garage. Guy's name is George. Want me to wait?
No, I don't know how long this will take.
Okay, 1:40.
Your name is Aronsky, isn't it?
So what if it is?
A.J. Aronsky, license M12659.
Look, pal, if you got a beef...
Keep your hair on, Aronsky. I was just reading your card. I'm one of those people who remembers everything. $1.40. There you are.
Thanks. Oh, thanks, pal.
Don't give it a thought. Hello? Hello? George? The clock strikes 2 o'clock, and it's 10 minutes wrong. I was at a small fix-it shop in the front of a garage. George was nowhere, but Comrade Mike's not far behind. Not far. Close.
Hello, comrade.
What's the idea of following me, comrade?
Just routine, comrade. You got your orders, I got mine.
So they don't trust me here?
Who trusts anybody anywhere? Let's have a look at that radio, comrade.
Okay, why?
Because you got it in that dame? Give it to me.
Now, wait a minute. Wasn't it the idea I was supposed to make friends with that girl?
Well, so?
So she loves music. She wants me to get a radio fixed tonight. Am I doing wrong, comrade?
Look, we trust you. We trust everybody. We trusted Comrade J. Let's look at that radio.
Why, comrade?
Because maybe there's a little black book inside it. Give it here.
All right, comrade. Here.
It's a cute little job, isn't it? Don't suppose it weighs 5 pounds. Now, what do you think is inside it?
I don't know, comrade.
You don't know, huh? Nothing.
Nothing, comrade?
And why'd you bring it here?
I told you, to get it fixed. She wants me to get a radio repaired. Maybe she's crazy wanting to get it done this time of night. But would the party want me to refuse?
Okay, comrade. It might be a good thing for you to find that book. Here comes a guy. I'll be outside, but don't you worry, comrade. You won't be alone.
Thought I heard somebody out here.
Oh, it's this radio.
Thought I heard somebody talking to somebody out here.
Oh, that was my friends. Out there in the car.
Oh, okay. What's the matter with this?
Yeah. What's the matter with it?
I'll have a look at it.
You got a phone?
Yeah, here under the counter. Local call?
Yeah, local call.
That'll be 15 cents. You can pay me now.
Yes? Hello?
Just a second.
Making a phone call? I saw you from outside. Thought I might be able to help you.
I was just calling Glory to tell her I'd be back in a few minutes.
I'll tell her for you, huh? Hello?
Hello?
Who is it?
Well, who do you want?
What number is it?
What number did you want?
What's the trouble? Wrong number?
A real wrong number. What is her number, pal? Let's try it again.
Let's forget it.
What's the number?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, you forgot it so soon?
Guess so.
I can't find anything wrong with this, mister. Just a tube that was pushed out of the socket. That'll be $1. North Star Garage, radio service. Wait a second. Did you call Michigan 91112?
No, I didn't.
I did. Give me that phone. Hello?
Is this the person who called Michigan 91112?
That's right. Who's speaking?
Who did you want?
Nobody. Must have dialed the wrong number. Let's go, huh? Poor Comrade J.
Doing a job for the FBI. A communist for the FBI. Maybe you ought to feel noble and brave about it. But right now, you're walking along a dark, deserted street with Comrade Mike 1 pace behind you. The bulge in his pocket is either a 38 or a 45. At Gloria's place, Mike shoved his gun in my back.
Now, you look. When we go through the lobby, let's not make any mistakes. Huh, comrade?
No mistakes.
All right, move.
Now, wait a second. Why do you want to see her?
No, either you're a fool or you think I'm a fool. I might have been willing to believe that she didn't know anything about Comrade J's little black book until you made that phone call. Now I think I'm going to find out where it is. It may be a little tough for both of you, but I'll find out. Let's go, comrade.
Now, wait, comrade. Look, you're making a terrible mistake. Why do you think I was sent here?
I know why.
To check on you, comrade.
Nuts.
You don't believe me? How long are you planning to live?
You're crazy. The party wouldn't do that to me.
Wouldn't they? I'm not going to try to convince you, but just think about it for a second before you make a fool of yourself.
Nuts.
Sure, nuts. But you can't be sure, can you? You can't be sure of anything in the party. Here, look at this card.
Here, what is it? Let me see that.
Look at it, comrade. The card was nothing but my driver's license, but he took it and stared at it in the dark, and that's all the break I needed. I hit him just right, and he was out like a light, the gun still in his hand. By pure luck, a prowl car came by. I melted into the shadows as the officers picked Comrade Mike up.
Now, wait a minute. Put that light on his face again. Yeah, you know who this guy is? He's Mike Dobronsky. Why, this guy's wanted for everything. Get him in here.
Only a few minutes later, I made my report to the Chicago office of the FBI.
Yes? Yes, go on, Cvetic.
It's a taxi. Illinois 4X1297. Driver A.J. Aronsky. License M12659. You'll find the book that was hidden in the portable radio behind the back seat of the taxi. I think it's important. Anyhow, the commies thought it was important enough to justify a killing. The street in Chicago, dark, deserted, lonely. Why should you be walking alone, comrade? Where are your friends? When you're in the party, you can't have any friends. Where are you going, comrade? What's at the end of the road? You walk in the night and you wonder, what is at the end of the road? But I know. How well I know. I'm a communist for the FBI. I walk alone. This is Dana Andrews with a word about the story you just heard. The part I portrayed is the part you have to play when you're a communist for the FBI. And it's worth it, a million times over, because at the end of the road is freedom. In this story, as in all others, names, dates, and places are fictitious to protect innocent persons. Many of these stories are based on incidents in the life of Matt Cvetic, who worked undercover for the FBI. Next week, another fantastic adventure. Join us, won't you?
August 20th, 1952, I was a communist for the FBI. Matt Cvetic appears not to have been the pristine individual he appeared to be. Cvetic had some serious issues, didn't we all? But Cvetic's story, as told through I was a communist for the FBI, gives an idea of how some people did actually sacrifice for their country. Whether Cvetic did or not, we don't totally know. Let's hear this episode of the program Dangerously Yours from 80 years ago, August 20th, 1944.
Everyone who works for a living knows that illness or injury may keep them from earning a living. Today, more than 9 out of 10 American workers are covered by Social Security, and each one should know that if he becomes severely disabled, he and his family may be eligible for monthly Social Security disability payments. More than 1 million people are now receiving benefits each month under this program. For more information about Social Security disability benefits, write to Social Security, Department 15, Hollywood 28, California, and ask for a free copy of Booklet 29 called If You Become Disabled.
Now, Dangerously Yours may or may not have taken a long and tortured path to commercial broadcast. First allegedly auditioned in 1940 by what sounds very much to be Alfred Shirley in the role of host. The audience titled Masquerade, audition titled Masquerade, announced an episode Jungle Harvest to follow. The audition never produced an on-air broadcast. Also note the format. Alfred Shirley introduced the adventure, then leaves it to that week's cast to perform the script. Fast forward to either 1942 or 1944. Victor Jory auditioning for Dangerously Yours, with Tony Marvin again acting as announcer. The only elements connecting the two auditions were the writer Gene Holloway, the director Richard Sandville, the composer Arnold Johnson, and the announcer Tony Marvin. Victor Jory coming off a series of extraordinarily diverse roles in the wake of the wildly successful and turbulent Gone with the Wind, which propelled several other character actors and B-list performers into the spotlight. But again, the audition didn't take. As with the first audition, the program announced a follow-on episode. This is pointed out because of widely varying accounts of when the two audition episodes actually aired. We can tell you that this episode of the program about Monsieur Beauclerc aired August 20th, 1944. The show ultimately debuted on Sunday, July 2nd, 1944, a 1 o'clock afternoon time slot, though titled Dangerously Yours. The program, clearly not Blood and Guts adventure fare, widely announced as an anthology of romantic adventures. And VIX, clearly doing everything within their power to both support their star as well as please their growing national audience. Dangerously Yours became less dangerous when it segued to VIX Matinee Theater, October 22nd, 1944, and Victor Jory kind of moved away from the program, although he was with the show for some time after that. We're going to hear this program today, Monsieur Beauclerc, starring Victor Jory, Dangerously Yours, 80 years ago, August 20th, 1944.
VIX presents Dangerously Yours, a half hour of romance and adventure starring Victor Jory in Monsieur Beauclerc. You know, more and more millions of people are using Vicks Vatronol nose drops to relieve distress of head colds. Benefit by their experience. And now, Dangerously Yours.
I am Adventure. In my name, men have traversed the highways, the byways, the skyways of the world. I am the fire that burns in the heart of youth, that makes men dream and dare and conquer. I am dangerously yours. They follow me to the English court in the early 18th century. Meet that daring, impudent Frenchman who risked his neck many times over to win a rose and to win the heart of his lady, Monsieur Beauclerc.
Your Highness, His Majesty is in the throne room. He would like to see you immediately.
Very well, Henri. I'll go at once. Yes, Father?
Louis-Philippe, I have been thinking about you.
Yes, Father.
You are 33 years old. You are the prince of the realm, and at this time you had a wife. I have been duly considering all the available princesses, and I have decided that you are to marry your cousin, the Princess Henriette.
Well, now, Father, it grieves me deeply to have to go against you in anything. But I don't happen to want to marry my cousin Henriette.
I wasn't aware, sir, that I had asked you what you wanted.
Don't you think you should ask?
No, because you never have the good taste to want what I want. Why don't you want to marry your cousin?
I don't love her.
Now, that's just about the silly kind of answer I would expect from you. What on earth do you want?
I want to choose my wife. I want someone who is beautiful and witty and charming and clever. I want someone who is honest and courageous and straightforward and trustworthy. I want someone who will love me and only me, and who will love me without knowing who I am or what I am.
My boy, such a woman never lived. You might as well face that fact and marry your cousin Henriette.
No, sir, I won't do it. I positively will not marry Henriette.
Parbleu, you will do as I say.
Parbleu, I won't.
Well, then, sir, you will pay a little visit to our prison at Vincennes, and you will stay in prison until you make up your mind to marry Henriette.
I'll never marry Henriette.
You will start for Vincennes tonight.
I'll never marry Henriette.
Let's rest our mounts for a moment.
You know, gentlemen, I do not have much wish to go to prison, so I think I'll leave you here. Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, come on, after him. We can't just let him ride away.
Oh, he's a much better horseman than any of us, and a much better swordsman. Why get all hot and steaming with a chase and a fight? It's much simpler to go back and tell the king he escaped.
Well, Pierre, will you do it? Will you let me travel to England with you?
Oh, Your Highness, you put me in a very unhappy spot.
I've got to get out of France at once. If I don't, my father's going to put me in prison.
But to suggest that you accompany me as my barber, it's well, I just don't like it. What do you know about barbering in the first place?
I've been observing barbers for some time now. There's nothing to it at all. Nothing to it at all. You'll see that I will bring about some changes in that beard of yours.
Now, you see, I'm very fond of that beard, and I'm not going to have you tampering with it.
You forget yourself, Molyneux.
Well, suppose I refuse to take you with me to England.
Then I will order you to take me.
I am not a happy man. Why do you want to go to England anyhow? I'm just going to take the sun at Bath. You'll find it very dull.
Bath? Dull? Why, there's gambling there, and dancing, and beautiful ladies. And there I may find that which I seek.
May I take the liberty of asking just what it is that you do seek, Your Highness?
I seek a lady as beautiful as the morning. As beautiful as...
A lady, eh? What lady? What's her name? Does she have a title?
I don't know her name, but her title might be Cinderella. Molyneux, you wonderful, handsome Molyneux.
Don't shout so. You'll have everyone up here to see what's wrong. What is wrong?
I found her. I knew it the moment I saw her. She had a red rose in her hand, and she was riding by in her carriage. She dropped the rose when she saw me, and when I returned it, I touched her hand for a moment. Oh, Molyneux, she's so lovely, so beautiful, so charming. Hand me those scissors. I will trim your beard while I tell you about it.
You trimmed my beard yesterday, and it really doesn't need it.
Doesn't need it, Molyneux. I don't want you to have a hair out of place. I want everyone in Bath to say, oh, what a magnificent barber is that Monsieur Beaucaire.
But my beard keeps getting less and less. I really don't want a trim.
I order you to sit down.
Yes, Your Highness. I am not a happy man. This is supposed to be a vacation for me.
I've found out her name already. It is Lady Mary Carlisle.
Oh, you cut off such a big hunk.
Don't squirm so. I might accidentally cut off your nose.
I really don't need a trim.
If you don't sit still, I'll have you beheaded, and that will end your entire problem.
Yes, Your Highness.
Now then, Molyneux, how can you fix it for me to meet Lady Mary?
I cannot. You just don't introduce your barber to high-born ladies.
You don't, huh? Well, I'm not going to make a fellow countryman commit a social error. I'll tell you what you do. Suppose you invite the Duke of Winterset to your rooms tonight for a game of cards.
I don't like the Duke. Why should I invite him in for a game?
Well, I've heard the Duke is very intimate with Lady Mary Carlisle. So I've just decided that he shall have the honor of introducing me.
Oh, my beard.
You're too vain about that beard, Molyneux. If you're not good, I may cut it off altogether.
Oh.
Yes, the Duke shall have the honor of introducing us.
You can't seriously think he'll introduce a barber to his friends?
Well, I'm told the Duke cheats at cards. If he cheats me, he will introduce me. But not as a barber. I shall become a Duke for the purpose. The Duke of, Chateaubriand.
Winterset is no child, Your Highness. You're flirting with danger.
I like to flirt with danger. I love it. It's the wine and the sauce, the salt and the stew.
The soft spot in the head.
Well, that's enough trimming for this afternoon. Go, hurry, run on those little fat feet and tell the Duke of Winterset that your barber is the most fabulous gambler in France, and that a game with him might prove most interesting. Go now, scat.
Oh, what has happened to my holiday shouldn't happen to a pig.
Will you shuffle, Monsieur le Duc?
Thank you. Cut.
No, thank you.
What happened to your beard, Molyneux? It's a different shape every day.
It changes with the mood of my barber.
Monsieur le Duc, pardon, but one of the cards seems to be missing.
One of the cards missing? Oh, that's impossible.
You will pardon me if I remove it from your sleeve. Voila, monsieur. This will make quite a story when it gets out.
You'll make no story of this, Beaucaire. If I have to kill you to make sure of it.
Take your hand off your sword, monsieur, and look around. Permit me to introduce my good friends Francois, Henri, Albert, Charles, and Gaston. Also, permit me to point out that they are armed. You're in a little trouble, Monsieur le Duc.
How much do you want?
Money does not interest me. I want something that will not hurt you as much. And if you will not do it for me...
Murder?
Oh, no, monsieur. Only disgrace.
Why, you scurvy footboy. You greasy barber. You stable boy. Born in a stable.
Is it not an honor to be born where the Duke of Winterset must have been bred?
Do you think a soul in Bath would take your word that I attempted to cheat you?
They would take the word of my master, Molyneux.
You'd pass that word about, Molyneux?
Yes.
What do you want of me?
I want to be presented to society as the Duke of Chateaubriand. And I also want to meet the lovely Lady Mary Carlisle.
Lady Mary, may I present His Grace, the Duke of Chateaubriand? Your Grace, Lady Mary Carlisle.
I kneel at the feet of such beauty.
You're very kind.
Would you grant me the honor of this dance?
The pleasure is mine, Your Grace.
I've dreamed of this moment for so long a time, and now that it's here and you're in my arms, I don't even know what to say. And there's so much that I should say.
What do you want to say?
Oh, my dear. If I were to tell you, you'd slap my face and run away.
I know very little about the French, although I've heard of their gallantries. And now I see why.
If I told you that I loved you, what would you say?
I'd say you couldn't possibly know. We English are practical people, Your Grace.
Surely not about love. Who can be practical about love?
If a lady were not practical about you, Monsieur le Duc, she might very easily get her heart broken.
Oh, don't be practical about me. I'll not break your heart, but I'll try very hard to take it away from you.
I'm not sure you can. You see, I'm waiting for someone very special.
What kind of a someone?
Oh, someone who is straightforward, who never says anything he does not mean. Someone who can be trusted. And, of course, he must be very handsome. And he must love me very much.
I think I know just the man for you.
Is his name Monsieur le Duc de Chateaubriand?
No, not his real name.
And what might his real name be, Monsieur le Duc?
His real name might be...
Prince Charming? You must tell me about him sometime.
Sometime I will. You are leaving the ball now?
Yes, it is late, and I'm a little tired. My carriage is waiting.
Look at that moon, Lady Mary. By tomorrow night it'll be in its prime. Will you go driving with me?
I'm supposed to attend a dinner. And in any case, it would not be proper.
You're English and I'm French. What is proper in my country may not be in yours. In my country, if you refused to come, that would mean there was no hope for me at all. And I would not try to see you again.
I will try to change my engagement. If you would care to call about 8?
I will be there. My lady...
Yes, Your Grace.
I ask a favor. May I have that small red rose you wear in your hair?
What would that mean in your country?
The same as it means in yours. Will you give it to me?
It is yours. And now, good night.
Thank you, my lady. Be careful of my heart, won't you? You see, you're taking it home with you tonight. Please, don't break it.
Good night, Your Grace. Goodbye. Until tomorrow.
I see you have a rose, Monsieur Barber.
Yes, I have a rose.
The rose will be dead before morning, and so may be the barber.
Are you threatening me?
I have intended for some time to make Lady Mary Carlisle my wife. I don't intend to change my plans.
I have the same intention, and I don't have any idea of changing my plans.
Do you think you can marry her and keep her from finding out that you're a barber?
No.
Do you think her ladyship would marry a barber?
I think she would if she loved him. I mean to find out.
At the risk of personal disgrace, at any risk, I will keep you from seeing her again.
At any risk, I will see her again.
Well then, monsieur, I'm afraid I shall have to kill you.
Sorry, Winterset, I don't have time right now. I must get some rest. I have an engagement with Lady Mary tomorrow night, and I want to be at my best.
I'm warning you.
No, do your worst, Winterset. Let's see how much of a blackguard you really can be. Step carefully getting into the carriage, milady. Here, permit me to help you.
Thank you, Your Grace.
Now then, we're on our way.
All right, men, we'll follow them into the country. We'll let them get about 10 miles out of town, and then we'll take care of Monsieur le Barber. We must keep out of sight until we're ready for the kill. Come, after them.
You know, folks, how your head sometimes stuffs up at night and makes breathing so difficult it's mighty hard to get to sleep. Now, the next time you're bothered with this transient congestion at bedtime, just put a few drops of Vicks Vatronol in each nostril. Then feel this specialized medication start to open up the clogged nasal passages and make breathing easier. What grand relief it brings. Vatronol is so effective because it's expressly designed not only to help relieve local congestion, but reduce irritating dryness, too. In this way, it invites restful sleep. Try Vatronol tonight if you're troubled with nasal stuffiness, and notice how fast breathing becomes easier. Remember, too, that Vatronol is equally effective to relieve distress of head colds. So if you're sniffling and sneezing, just use a few drops of Vatronol. Follow directions in the folder. Vicks Vatronol Nose Drops. And now, the second act of Monsieur Beaucaire, starring Victor Jory.
Whoa! We'll stop for a moment. And look at the ocean in the moonlight, no?
Very well. But you aren't looking at the moon or the ocean.
You are more beautiful.
Compliments roll so smoothly from your tongue, Monsieur le Duc. One could wish you did not say them quite so glibly.
Compliments are the result of honest emotion. What I feel I can express strongly and quickly because I have no doubt about my feelings. I'm not a schoolboy stammering over his first love. I'm a man looking at my last love.
How clear it is tonight.
Yes. On nights like this, I used to go out alone and sit by the sea and dream about a girl like you. Makes me a little homesick tonight for France. Oh, Lady Mary, you will love my country. And they'll love you in my country. If we were there tonight, we'd find a carnival and ride in a carousel and drink champagne and laugh. And later I would take you on the top of the highest hill I could find, and I would say, that is my kingdom down there, and now it's yours, if you will but put your hand in mine. Mary, look at me. Why do you turn away?
Because suddenly I want to believe you. Suddenly my heart wants to believe you. And my mind says no. My mind says, be cautious. He is a stranger. Don't let yourself be misled.
Will you marry me?
I don't know.
Do you love me?
I think perhaps I do. I'm not sure. How can I be sure? I've known you so short a time.
You can be sure. You can be sure if your heart grows warm when you look at me. And you can be sure if time goes singing by when we're together and drags by when we're not. And you can be sure you'll love me if there's both peace and fire in your heart when you hear me say, I love you.
Then I think it must be so.
My dearest.
My dearest.
There's something I must tell you. There's something I must ask you. If I were not what I seem, if I were not the Duc de Chateaubriand, would it make any difference? It seems almost insulting to ask you. But I must know.
You are not the Duc de Chateaubriand? Then who are you?
A man who loves you.
Listen, I hear horsemen. I wonder who they are.
Yes, I think I know who they are. I must get out of the carriage. I trust my own men are near.
Who are they? Who are you? What is wrong?
My darling, listen to me. If I live tonight, I'll take you to France and you shall be my queen. And if I die, I'll count my life well lost for this 1 hour.
What is wrong? Who are you?
Kill the barber!
Kill the barber!
Don't let him escape!
Surround him! Kill the barber!
Let the first man who wants to fight step forward.
Kill him!
Running through!
Don't give him any quarter.
If I must fight 5 men, then I'll fight 5.
Come, milady. Let me take you away from here.
Winterset, what does this mean? Why don't you defend him?
Defend him? Defend that dog of a Beaucaire? A common barber? Those are my men that are killing him. I led them here.
You led them here? Why? What is this all about?
Step aside, they'll trample you down.
See how he fights. He's magnificent. Have you ever seen such swordsmanship?
Winterset, why are you not fighting?
I don't fight with barbers, monsieur.
Take that, my pretty. And that. There's more blood shed with the 5 of you than I have shed. And you, my ugly friend. I don't care for your face.
2 of them down. Odds blood, the man can fight. Get him, men. Get him. I want him strung up.
I'll disarm him.
Good. Bring him here.
Where are the Duke's men? Dear God in heaven, where are his men?
He is no Duke. He's a barber. A common barber.
A barber? Oh, no.
That he is, my lady. Barber to Monsieur Molyneux.
Oh, no, I cannot believe it.
Francois, here. À moi. Francois. Well done, my friends. You were almost too late. Monsieur le Duc, you had better tend to your accomplices. Some of them seem to be in pain. I'm sorry not to be able to oblige you by dying, but I have different plans.
Is it true that you are a barber and nothing more?
Would that make a difference to you?
You surely could not expect me to marry a barber.
I thought you would marry whomever you loved. I thought you were different from all the other ladies in the world. I see now. I was mistaken. Forgive me for the assumption. Francois, I need help, Francois.
Oh, Seigneur, your coat is red with blood.
Winterset, will you take me home?
With pleasure, milady. We'll meet again, barber, unless you get out of town immediately. I'm not through with you yet.
Drive on, Winterset. This has all made me a little faint.
Farewell, my lady. Francois, sometimes a red rose comes very high. But the rose she gave me seemed more beautiful than it has turned out to be. Help me home, Francois.
Monsieur Molyneux, may I please see Monsieur Beaucaire?
He's in the garden resting. Haven't you done enough to him?
Please, let me see him. I know he despises me, but there is something I must say to him.
I don't like you, my lady, and I'll do nothing to help you see Monsieur Beaucaire. Ever since he met you, his barbering's gone right out of the window. I've almost lost my entire beard. You're ruining his profession.
You won't take me to him?
I will not. But I can't help it if you push your way past me and go around to the garden on your own.
Thank you. Monsieur Beaucaire.
Good afternoon, your ladyship.
I know you don't want to see me, but I had to come.
I won't be able to talk to you long. I have some affairs to settle, and I'm leaving for France tomorrow.
A few weeks ago, you and I rode out along the sea, and you said, if I would put my hand in yours, you would give me a kingdom. Do you remember?
But you would not care for a barber's kingdom.
I think I would. I know I would.
Why, Mary.
If I've always thought that titles were important, forgive me. I've learned better. Just say I had a bad bringing up. I've had a lot of weeks to think this over, and I know it doesn't matter whether you're a duke or a barber, because the only kingdom I really want is in your arms, and the only title I really want is the title Madame Beaucaire.
Oh, my dearest, my darling, my sweet.
I love you. That's the only important thing in the whole world to me. I love you so much.
You shall be Madame Beaucaire. And Monsieur Beaucaire is a very lucky man.
Monseigneur, that beast of a Winterset is on his way over here with a whole party of gentlemen from the court. Francois just brought word.
I shall be ready for them.
Can't we end this masquerade? I swear what's left of my beard is turning white.
We can end the masquerade. It's no longer necessary. I've found my Cinderella.
There he is, the impudent scoundrel.
Let's finish him this time.
Gentlemen, hear me before you offer an outrage. You will repent all your lives and plunge your country into war.
Ah, Monsieur le Duc, you always appear well flanked with men. You never risk meeting me alone, do you?
Do you expect me to fight a cutthroat with bare hands?
I think one does not expect Monsieur to fight anybody. Do you think I would fight you? I would gladly fight almost anyone in the world, but I would not soil my hands with the lying, sneaking...
Stop your lying now.
Anyone who thinks he can stop me, step forward. Oh, really, Winterset. This is getting a little tiresome. You're always forcing me to fight when I'm not in the mood.
Your Highness, my prince, please say no more.
Your Highness? My prince?
My prince? What prince is this? What kind of talk is this?
Winterset, you forfeited all honor in this place. You play cards with me and cheat. And then on condition I do not expose you, you introduce me as de Chateaubriand. You introduce me at the cost of your honor and then betray me to redeem it. You are a liar, a card shark, a coward.
I'll know the true name of the man that dares bring such a charge.
Tell him, Molyneux. I think it's time he knows. But make it as short as possible.
Permit me to have the honor of presenting to you His Royal Highness, Prince Louis-Philippe de Valois, le Duc d'Orléans, le Duc de Chartres, Duc de Nemours, Duc de Montpensier, Count de Beaujolais, first Prince of the Blood Royal, First Peer of France, Lieutenant General of Infantry, Governor of Dauphine, Knight of the Golden Fleece, Grand Master of the Order of Notre Dame, of Mount Carmel, and of St. Lazarus in Jerusalem, and son of His Most Christian Majesty, the King of France.
Mon Dieu, what a memory.
The prince shall hear from me within the hour.
What gentleman will carry your message, Winterset? Whoever will shall receive a little beating from Francois. And now, may I introduce to this company the lady who has promised to be my wife.
But I promised to marry Monsieur Beaucaire.
I am Beaucaire in my heart. And in my heart, you will always be Madame Beaucaire.
Monseigneur, my prince, by your leave, I have been a good friend, have I not?
That you have, Molyneux?
Have I not served you, obeyed you, suffered for you, worried over you?
You've done all those things.
Then may I ask one favor in return?
Ask. It shall be granted.
May I be your barber just for a month? I can see room for improvement in your beard.
Molyneux, if that's what you want, it shall be granted. But consider all the trouble masquerading as a barber got me into.
On second thought, I withdraw the request.
On the other hand, look at the joy it brought me.
I think I'll just take my holiday now. Though, if you don't mind. Goodbye, Monsieur Beaucaire. May I wish you great happiness.
Thank you very much. I have great happiness. Now that I've found Madame Beaucaire.
Ladies, it's a fact that today many, many women are throwing away their youthful charm, fading before their time, simply because they fail to live sensibly and get enough of certain indispensable vitamins and iron. Now, don't you pay that penalty. Don't be guilty of throwing away your natural youthfulness. Just live sensibly and take Vitamins Plus once each day. You see, Vitamins Plus gives you full protective amounts of all the certain indispensable vitamins and iron that you must have to feel and look as young, as vital, and alive as you should. So make it your health charm routine. Vitamins Plus, just once each day.
I am Adventure, Next week, come with me to the South in the days of Lincoln and Lee, when the Union almost split into two nations. Meet one of the most colorful, dashing figures of the war between the states in the Ballad of Beauty Stewart. Until next week, then, I am dangerously yours.
Our script was written by Gene Holloway from the story Monsieur Beaucaire by Booth Tarkington. Dangerously Yours was directed by Richard Sandville. Lady Mary was played by Joan Wetmore. Molyneux by Jackson Beck. Music for the series is under the direction of Mark Warnow. Be sure and listen in again next week when Vicks presents Dangerously Yours, starring Victor Jory. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
August 20th, 1944, Dangerously Yours, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. This particular episode, the 8th of the series, and as we mentioned, the show would go on as Dangerously Yours until October 15th, 1944. Then it would roll over to Matinee Theater, sponsored also by Vicks, and that would run from October 22nd of 1944 until the series' conclusion on April 8th, 1945. Tomorrow on Classic Radio Theater, we will have Night Watch, Mystery in the Air, A Life in Your Hands, The Shadow, and Lum and Abner. And then coming up on Thursday, the Chase and Sanborn Hour, the Penny Singleton Show, Nick Carter, Master Detective, and Superman. And then we will go to, that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Counter Spy, Confession, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, and Claudia. And then we'll get to more fun stuff over the weekend. But right now, an episode, we mentioned Superman would be coming up on Thursday's show. Well, as it's Tuesday, we'll hear an episode of Superman.
What are your dreams for 10 years from now? Perhaps you'd like to travel abroad. In 10 years, comfortable tourist accommodations will certainly be available. This also applies if your travel plans are along the lines of see America first. If you're wondering how you can be sure of having the money at that time, buy savings bonds. Perhaps you haven't been considering travel. Well, if you've been counting on future leisure time or a college education for your children, a farm or business of your own, a retirement income or a home of your own, the solution is still the same. Buy savings bonds. Purchase them the easy, automatic way, where you work through the payroll savings plan, where you bank through the bond-a-month plan. Savings bonds are profitable. For every $3 invested today, you'll receive $4 when your bonds mature. So buy United States savings bonds through the payroll savings plan or bond-a-month plan. And remember, automatic saving is sure saving.
And we wrap up our Tuesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox with another episode of Superman and Dr. Roebling and the Voice Machine. This goes back 83 years to August 20th, 1941.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice.
And now to our story. When Clark Kent was arrested and placed in the city jail, he made no attempt to clear himself, because he knew of a plot against the life of Henry Benson, former city treasurer, also in the jail. It was Kent's idea to remain on the spot and prevent the killing, and at the same time capture Curley, the man assigned to do the job. But following a conversation with Lois Lane in his cell, Kent discovered a dictograph hidden under his mattress. Realizing that District Attorney Warren was now aware of everything he knew concerning Benson, Kent broke out of jail as Superman. Meanwhile, Duke Renard, leader of the gang responsible for getting rid of Benson, has received new orders from someone he calls the big guy. In a room above the Swan Club, Duke gives Curly the orders. But unknown to either of them, Dr. Roebling is listening with his voice machine and immediately reports to Kent back in Editor White's office at the Daily Planet. White lifts the phone to call the district attorney, but Kent stops him, saying he wants to tackle it alone. For a moment, White looks at him, and then...
Are you crazy, Kent?
No, but I think I can tackle this on my own.
Well, who do you think you are? Superman?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, not exactly. Now, don't be a stupid fool. I wouldn't mess with Duke Bernard's gang of hoodlums unless I had half the police force behind me.
They don't frighten me, Mr. White. I've dealt with their kind before.
I know, but one bullet and the deal's over. You don't get any second chance. What was the exact conversation Dr. Roebling picked up on his voice machine?
Well, he didn't give it to me word for word, but the gist of it was that Benson was being transferred from the city jail to state prison at 9 o'clock tonight.
Yeah?
2 of Renard's men, Curly and Spud, were assigned to see that he never reaches state prison alive.
Uh-huh.
They're going to stop the car Benson rides in on the Conway Turnpike just before it reaches the Red River Bridge.
Yeah, and you want to tackle them alone. Ah, you're out of your mind, Kent. What? I'm calling the DA's office.
No, wait a minute.
Nothing doing.
If you call the DA, Mr. White, Benson's goose is cooked.
What do you mean?
Just this. Benson is a marked man because someone is afraid he's going to talk. That someone is the big guy, the higher-up who gives Duke Renard orders.
Doesn't take a genius to figure that out.
Well, all right. Now, the original plan, according to what Dr. Roebling and I heard over the voice machine, was to send Curly right into the city jail to do the job on Benson. However, suddenly someone decided to switch Benson to the state prison. Why?
Well, you tell me.
I will tell you. It was Warren, the district attorney, who ordered Benson transferred after he heard me tell Lois Benson was on the spot, after he listened in to our conversation over the dictograph.
Well, so what? Do you blame him for getting Benson out of the city jail and sending him someplace where he'd be safe?
Well,
after all, if anyone knows who robbed the city of that $1 million, Benson does. Dead men can't talk.
Exactly. Now, the question is, how did Duke Renard learn Benson is being transferred to the state prison at 9 o'clock tonight? Who tipped him off?
I never thought of that.
Did the big guy tell him? If he did, who is the big guy?
Kent, you don't think Warren...
Well, it's happened before, hasn't it? 99% of city, state, and government officials are honest as the day is long. But every once in a while, a crooked one crops up.
Ah, that's ridiculous, Kent. Warren can't have any connection with Renard. He was the one who got the indictment against Henry Benson.
Well,
he was the one who nabbed Renard in that building scandal and hooked him with a fat $85,000 fine.
I know, but I still don't think it's safe to tell him too much. Not until we're sure.
Sure of what?
Well, sure of where we stand. If I can lay my hands on either Curly or Spud, or both of them, we might get some valuable information. As it is, we know that Renard uses some sort of identifying code when he talks to the big guy.
You never told me about any code.
Well, I just heard it once. But Dr. Roebling said he used it again this afternoon.
What sort of code?
I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out, but when Renard called the big guy this morning, the first thing he said was, "What are you getting for fish today?" Evidently, the big guy's identifying answer was all right, because Renard's next words were, "Okay, Chief."
What are you getting for fish today?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's code?
It must be. Dr. Roebling said the call this afternoon came to Renard, and his first words were, "The same price we got for thimbles yesterday."
I'm beginning to think you and Roebling are ready for straitjackets.
This is all on the level, Mr. White. That's why it's so important not to let any of our plans leak out, even to the district attorney.
What's going on out there?
I don't know. I'll see.
Here we are, mister. We tried to keep them out, Mr. White, but they pulled gunshots.
Shut up. Wait a minute, you two. Just because you're wearing police uniforms, you have no right to bust in here.
Oh, no? Who are you?
I'm the editor of this paper.
No place to tell him, Joe.
Right? Keep your hands off me. Kent.
Oh, so you're Clark Kent. No, my name is Elmer Brown.
Don't kid me. Stick out your mitts.
I tell you my name is Brown.
I heard him call you Kent. Come on.
Don't resist. Let them arrest us. I'll sue them from here to Singapore. I'll make them pay through the nose. You wait and see.
Okay, now hike. Go ahead, Joe, and clear that gang of rubbernecks out of the way.
Stand back.
All right, march, you
Miss
two.
Barber, call my lawyer. Tell him to meet me at the district attorney's office. I don't blame you. You're just a couple of cops who have to take orders.
Oh, yeah, that's a hot one, ain't it, Joe?
I'll make it hot for your boss. You can bet on that.
Listen to him.
You're wasting breath, Mr. White. They're not city policemen.
What?
No, and they're not taking us to the district attorney's office either. We're going in the opposite direction.
You ain't so dumb, Kent.
But
But why? What's the idea?
Calm
What right
down,
have you...
Grandpa.
Who are these men, Kent?
Probably two of Duke Renard's boys.
You know too much for your own good, Kent. Give it the gun, Joe.
Okay.
And remember, Grandpa, and you too, wise guy, I'm watching every move you make. Okay, last stop. Get out.
Where are we?
Never mind. Get out.
Come on, Mr. White.
Now, through that door up the steps. Lead the way, Joe. You follow him, Grandpa.
If I didn't have these handcuffs on, I'd show you who's our grandpa.
Yeah, I bet you're handy with your dukes. But right now, get going.
You'd better, Mr. White.
Open the door, Joe. Come on, stop stalling, move. Okay, inside. Here they are, Duke. Both of them.
Nice work, Curly. Come in, gentlemen.
Oh, so you're Curly.
Yeah, I'm Curly. Any objection?
That'll be enough. Get those uniforms off and wait outside, you and Spud.
Okay. So long, Grandpa.
Why, you dirty little... Your name's White, isn't it? Yes, and... You're Clark Kent. Sit down, both of you.
I prefer standing.
I said sit down. I guess you know who I am. I'm warning you, Renard. You're carrying things too far. I'm not a cheap politician who can be reached with a few dollars. I know your kind. You can't tell me to shut up. Shut up or I'll jam your tongue down your throat. Around here, I give the orders. Understand?
Don't argue with him, Mr. White.
No, it ain't smart. All right, but there'll be a reckoning. And when there is, you'll pay and pay heavily. Don't make me laugh.
What do you want with us, Renard?
Nothing much. I just like your company.
You might as well come out with it.
I said I just like your company. You're going to sit with me until maybe 10:30 tonight.
Oh, I see.
What do you see?
Uh-huh. We're going to sit with you until 10 or 10:30. You figure it'll take about an hour or an hour and a half.
What'll take an hour and a half?
A little job you're engineering.
Yes. A little job of murder. Both you wise guys got good imaginations. You've been going to the movies too much. It ain't healthy. What you're doing isn't healthy either. Never mind about me. I can take care of myself. Now just relax. You just wait until I get out of here. Just wait. I'll run you and your hoodlums out of town if it's the last thing I do. Relax, brother, relax. You got a long wait. Have I? You might be mistaken. I don't think so. Not this time. Today is Friday. And if you're not behind bars by Sunday, I'll eat my hat. Well, you better start chewing, pal.
What time is it, Renard?
5 o'clock. You got a good long stretch ahead of you. Now, this wouldn't have happened if your nose wasn't so long.
Oh, you're right. And it wouldn't have happened if you weren't doing somebody else's dirty work.
That's my business, mister.
Yeah, and it's bad business, Renard. You're just a sucker.
Watch what you're saying.
You know it as well as I do. You're a sucker for the big guy.
Shut up.
You'll take the rap if anything happens. The big guy won't.
I said shut up.
You'll go to the chair for murder.
All right, you asked for it. Now, will you keep that big mouth shut, or do I have to smack you around a little?
Too bad we're not in this room alone, Renard. Just you and I. You wouldn't be so free with your hands.
You talk big, blabbermouth. At least he's not a yellow dog. He doesn't hit a man whose wrists are handcuffed. That's enough out of you. You're lower than a snake's belt. I said that's enough out of you. You see this little gadget? It's a blackjack. One tap behind the ear and you're out for a long time.
Don't say anything, Mr. White.
I'm not going to sit here and take his foul abuse.
I don't think we'll be sitting here very long.
Oh, no?
No. I just happened to think of something. Do you mind if I send a friend of mine a message, Renard?
Are you nuts?
No, just hopeful. You can listen to the message. Dr. Roebling.
Huh?
Dr. Roebling, this is Clark Kent. A man named Duke Renard is holding Mr. White and myself prisoners.
What's this?
On the second floor of a frame house located at 10th Street and Marlowe Avenue.
This guy's crazy.
Dr. Roebling, a man named Duke Renard is holding...
Gambling on the chance that Dr. Roebling is listening in on his voice machine, Kent, to the amusement of Duke Renard, sends the inventor an urgent message. The odds are against Roebling picking up the message, but unless he does, Kent will have to devise another method of escape without revealing himself as Superman. Either way, there's bound to be excitement, so listen in.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
The bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
And of course, the crooks knew nothing about the machine, so it could be very, very interesting here. 83 years ago, August 20th, 1941, Superman, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll see what happens next, coming up on Thursday. Tomorrow, though, Night Watch, Mystery in the Air, A Life in Your Hands, The Shadow, and Lum and Abner. And then, as we said on Thursday, in addition to Superman, Nick Carter, Master Detective, Penny Singleton, and the Chase and Sanborn Hour, with all of the usual, Edgar Bergen, Charlie McCarthy. I'm not sure if we're going to have W.C. Fields on this one or not, but it'll be a fun show nevertheless. And then on Friday, we'll wrap up the week with Counter Spy, Confession, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, and Claudia. And then Saturday, more crime with Crime and Peter Chambers, the FBI in Peace and War, The Lives of Harry Lime, and an episode of the CBS Radio Workshop. That's all coming up the next few days here on the Classic Radio Theater podcast. If you like what we do, visit our webpage, classicradio.stream. Your support is greatly appreciated. Have yourself a great Tuesday for Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.